almost have to win game one. I have picked the Rockets to win in 7. I have not been swayed by the fact that Vegas thinks they're a heavy underdog, that the C.J. McCollum out here was, I mean, he audibly guffawed when I said Rockets in 7. Most of the people that I know that are in the NBA, or whether it be coach, GM, player, I've only found 2 that aren't getting paid by the Rockets, that are picking the Rockets. I'm still going to stick with them, but they got to win game 1. It's not quite a must-win, but when you work that hard for 65 wins, when you work that hard all season, and you see the team that you are admittedly, quote, obsessed with, unquote, really cruise through the regular season. If you let them take home court advantage from you in the first game, everything you worked for and everything they cruised away from, essentially, mentally, it's devastating. Also, it changes the math. Now you don't got to beat them 4 out of 7. Now you got to beat them 4 out of 6. A team that... And so for all those reasons, I think it is critical the Houston Rockets Monday night find a way to win game 1.
I think it's interesting, too, to watch Golden State. What would they do if they were down? All right? We know they have the experience, but they're not used to this. They're not used to starting a series on the road, right, Nick, where they don't have home court advantage.
Hasn't happened once in this run.
So let's start them down 1-0. I believe game number 1 is critical for Houston. I believe Nick is right. When you start looking at the percentages, if they lose that, not just because of the numbers, but from a confidence standpoint. Their coach, what's his history? Coming up short. Chris Paul, never been to the conference final. Coming up short. James Harden been to the finals once against LeBron. Won 1 game and then got swept after that. Right. Gentleman's sweep, 4 in a row. So all the 3 components there have come up short on the biggest stages. So the confidence that Golden State would have, I think they're already going into the series with confidence, but if they were to win game number 1, I believe the series is basically a wrap.
And the flip side is Houston does believe. Houston believes in the 50-5 record they have with Harden, CP3, and Capella.
Yeah.
They believe in how important it is that they are fully healthy. Organizationally on down, they don't think they're a 1-in-10 shot to beat Golden State. They truly believe this is a coin flip series that they can win. If they win game 1, it's confirmation of that. And if they and by the way, then all of a sudden, if they win game 1, if Houston wins game 1, then we are talking about game 2 in a way we haven't talked about Golden State at all. Oh, all of a sudden they got to win game 2. Because what they can't do is fall down 0-2, even though it would be, oh, the series doesn't start until the team wins on the road. You're not beating a team 4 out of 5 in Houston. You're not beating Houston 4 out of 5 if you're down 2-0. It's just not happening. So then all of a sudden the pressure shifts entirely to the Warriors if the Rockets win game 1, seeing what they can do in game 2.
Nick, I believe one component, we talk about home and away, but we haven't talked about the fan base in Houston. Now, you're talking about a great experience, in-game entertainment. Houston is second to none. But those fans, you need to play your part. Like, you want to have a parade?
I'm so glad you said that.
Man, if you want to have a parade in a couple weeks, next month, if you want to have a parade, man, that first quarter,
you got to show up.
Man, you got to bombard them with noise. You can't let Golden State get comfortable before they go back to Oracle.
Houston is a late arriving, passive crowd. It is I'll be honest, in 2017-18, the weakest part of the Rockets is their home court advantage. It was game 5, closeout game against the Jazz, and the lower bowl for the first quarter was 40% full. For a place I lived for 5 years, it was embarrassing. The Rockets fans should take it as a challenge. Show up to that stadium early. You heard Utah down 30, louder than the Toyota Center is often when the Rockets are up 15. Those fans need to step up to give the Rockets the best chance. Go ahead, Jenna.
So you looking at this team, the game that James Harden didn't play well when he was sick, when he was under the weather, Chris Paul came out and scored 40-something, 41 points, whatever it was. We can't count on Chris Paul to score that many points when James Harden isn't there. You made a good point. James Harden has to play lights out every game for this to happen. If the Warriors have 2 of their big 4 that don't play lights out, they're still okay, and you believe that they're still okay. But if Chris Paul and forget Clint, if Chris Paul and James Harden say don't play fantastic games, how do they have a shot against the Warriors?
I still believe that their role players, that either being P.J. Tucker, that being Gordon, Trevor Ariza, I just believe those players. And then I just believe the player that's going to be the secret weapon is going to be the player that Kevin Durant called out. I believe that right there, those words that he said to Clint Capella, as far as, oh, he's the guy talking because his job is easy, I look for him to be big in this series. Golden State loves to play small. Houston's got to make them pay with Capella.
To answer your question, yes, ideally Harden and CP3 play great the entirety of this series, all 7 games if it goes that long. And Harden, for the Houston to have a chance, he has to play at his MVP level. The path to victory for a single game for the Rockets, if one of those guys is off, is have one of your 21 of 47 from 3 nights. Have one of your just bombard them because Eric Gordon goes 6 for 8 and Ariza goes 4 of 7 and Gerald Green comes off the bench and goes 4 for 9. Like, have one of those nights where you can't miss from 3. That's one of the paths to victories. It's not the widest path, but it exists for him.
All right, if you weren't happy with the way the Eastern Conference Finals played out last year, don't worry about it. We're doing it again this year. Same stage, same team, same superstar. This one kicks off Sunday in Boston. CeCe, how worried should the Cavs be about the Celtics in Game 1?
They should be worried. It's a critical game. The Celtics undefeated at home. We talk about them lack of having their big stars, but all their role players have played outstanding in those 7 victories at home. So how have they gotten it done? We always talk about the Celtics being the best defensive team, Nick, right, throughout the NBA over the course of the season, being the absolute best. But their ability to be able to shoot the ball and shoot the ball effectively from deep with the coaching of Brad Stevens and that defense, that's what's gotten them in the Eastern Conference Finals. So if they get hot behind the 3-point line, they can give the Cavs problems because we talked about it in Houston, the mandate we're putting on the fans. Boston don't have to worry about that. Their players, they already feel that good vibe. That's why they played the way that they have at home. So this is an important game for the Cavs. I believe that the Cavs and LeBron, they believe that they have something over the East, especially over Toronto. I believe it's important that LeBron and the rest, especially these new Cavs, that they're able to show Boston early. It's still the same thing as far as LeBron, the hold he has over the Eastern Conference.
And the Boston is going, if they're lucky, they'll be able to play 4 game minutes without LeBron on the court. 5 days off for LeBron, who played all 82 games this year, played in the All-Star game, played 7-game first-round series, and then back-to-back days in the second round. This is the most time off he's had since training camp. You are going to get a fresh LeBron James. You also have his teammates playing at the highest level they've played all year long. That's problematic for Boston. Another thing that's problematic for Boston, we talk about the mental edge LeBron has over the Toronto Raptors. Well, he's won 6 consecutive games in the playoffs in Boston, including what I would argue is the greatest game of his career, the 45-15-5 game to end the Big 3 essentially in Boston. And then who's been the Celtics' best player? Tatum's been great. But their best player is Al Horford.
Yeah, he's been special.
He's been special. And this is a remarkable note. Al Horford, in his career, has played 17 playoff games against LeBron James. 2 of those times, he was the #1 overall seed. In those 17 playoff games, Al Horford is 1-16. 1-16 in his career against LeBron James teams. For all those reasons and because I don't think the Cavs are going to worry about LeBron being tired because they had 5 days off here, and after Game 2, they got 3 full days off before Game 3. I think they're going to play LeBron the entirety of the second half if they need to. I think it'll be a good game, but I think the Cavs win it.
That battle between George Hill and Terry Rozier at the point guard, I believe, is one of the critical matchups in this game #1 and in the series.
George Hill actually, just by 1/10 of a point, has a better on-off rating in these playoffs than LeBron. He's at plus 18.3. LeBron's plus 18.2. He's been critical to them, so that's a great note.
We got to go, Cavs.